one, tarnation!
I meant to do that.
Howdy folks, this is Applegeek, and here we are with, unfortunately, it looks like the final Equestria Girls special, at least as far as we know. We know that DHX is basically done producing Equestria Girls now. We don't know yet if Boulder Media is going to pick it up and continue it. That's very uncertain at this point, so I guess until we hear otherwise, we're assuming they're not. So, and there's still a bunch of shorts to come yet. I know I'm behind on those. I will be doing those too, I promise. But the special is a thing that I've been told people are going to be talking about, so I want to get this done and out of the way before I get any more spoilers of upcoming conventions and stuff. So, anyway, yeah, it's again, it's unfortunate, but you know, all good things must come to an end eventually. So. I know Katrina and Nick Conflone and everyone have been working really hard on this stuff, so and most of these have been pretty good. So the last one, I know not everybody liked it. For me personally, I loved it. So hoping for good things out of this last one here. Hopefully the trend continues. So, but I know nothing about this one, no title, synopsis, anything. So without further ado, let's give it a watch. Final EG special starting now. Still like this song. I wish there was a longer version of it. Oh yeah, this is like a early airing from another country, so I'm not even sure what that title was.
Stars World Music Festival, we have arrived! 2 days in
Wallflower
music, hot food, sleeping under the stars.
Star Swirl
this
Festival.
About one thing only.
That outfit. Okay.
We know. Y'all won't stop talking about it.
Oh, Post-Crash? That's only because Post-Crash is the craziest, most amazingest pop duo ever! Post-Crash, Post-Crash, Post-Crash!
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
I see your point.
They canceled their last tour to go on indefinite hiatus. We thought we'd never see them live.
But we thought wrong!
Yeah, we're about there ourselves. Love these outfits.
Baby Lollipop
AKA Kalo!
is the cool one.
Well, Supernova Zout
AKA Susie
is the same one! Unlike another certain dynamic duo I know.
Okay, are those two going to be singing by the end of this?
All right.
I'm sure they are.
Less laughing and more gaffing. We got an early morning tomorrow.
Okay, Sunset and Pinky together. This is an interesting dynamic here. Oh, there's the dynamic duo. That was a fast change.
Star Swirl Day 1! Come and get it! Hey! Oh,
Ouch.
sorry. I'll be more careful from now on.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Nothing like intense pain ruined this perfect day.
So, I says to Big Mac, get your own chicken coop.
Sorry, that one has animals in it. What do you call a Post-Crash fan with 3 eyes? Pinkie Pie! I don't get it.
Well, technically, Pinkie Pie has 3-letter eyes in it.
Are you okay? Just a little mud.
Sunset, Sunset, look! So many lines to stand in.
Poker Trixie.
Amazing. Let's go! You come to this line often? Any
LineCon.
friends we should hit up? Hey!
Wallflower again. Nice to see her.
That line's moving fast.
What line is it? And you're gonna switch and it's what? Snip snails? Microchip. Why are you in the slowest line?
Can't this thing move any faster?
Security is an art.
Oh no. Checking all the bags and stuff.
Aw, cheer up! Lines fly when you're having fun! See you in there, Sunset!
And she's gonna get stopped for some reason? Oh, guess not. Okay. I thought she was gonna be held outside for some reason.
Well, y'all have fun seeing Post Crush. We'll see you back at camp tonight.
Main objective. Get front row for Post Crush. Mission procedure. We cut around the Neon Garden to the main stage and rush the front during Ponyvair's set. We can camp there till showtime.
Secondary
Okay.
objective. Win a tandem bicycle!
Oh,
All I have to do is guess how many candies are in the jar, and my sugar senses say...
sugars.
5.
What about seeing Post Crush together?
I did not expect her to fail at that.
That's one more than usual! Fine, I'll focus.
I expect that bike to be relevant later in this somehow. What is this place? Pinky's having way too much fun with this.
Is a maze?
Oh no. Well, Pinky's in rare form. Gonna Hansel and Gretel this thing. No, it's leading her out. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy.
We're gonna miss the show.
Aw.
Who wants to be part of an art show?
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh.
Guess what? I spilled paint, and it looks exactly like Rarity with a pirate mustache. Washable.
There. Now, no more getting separated and no more distractions.
Okay.
God, it says...
They're about to go on. We'll have to push
You're
to the front.
late.
Come on.
Uh-oh.
Huck Pastry's exclusive star-crusted cinnamon dip churros.
Oh, no.
Will not give in. Oh, I can't resist.
The worst possible time for churros, Pinky.
That did not go as planned. And they're gonna get tossed out. Oh, no. Oh. Pinky.
Here, 3 big cheers for 2 best friends who got back together for one incredible night.
Pinky, you done messed up.
2 peas in a pod. How was it? Spectacular? Amaze magic?
What's wrong?
We missed Post Crush. Someone wanted to win a bike, then got us lost in a maze, covered in paint, sidelined by churros, and finally kicked out.
I'm really sorry. I wish we could do the day all over again. I'd do it different.
Me too.
Oh.
I'd do it alone.
Oh. What was that? It's a time loop. It's a time loop. Yep. It's a time loop.
Star Swirl Day 1.
And it's gonna fail every way possible.
Sorry. I'll be more careful from now on.
Star Swirl Day 1?
Get your own chicken coop.
Sorry.
That's never gonna get old.
What?
What do you call a Post-Crush fan with 3 eyes? Pinkie Pie!
Serious deja vu here.
Oh. Sunset, sunset, look! So many lines to stand in. This day's already amazing.
Uh-huh. Gonna pick one of the other lines this time, aren't you?
Are you okay?
I'm not sure.
That was one of those magic orbs from
Sweet lines. We should
back in that movie, wasn't it?
What's going on?
You
We'll see.
said it, Sunset. What's with these long lines, man?
Security is an art. It can't
Be rushed.
Well, y'all have fun seeing Post Crush. We'll see you back at camp tonight.
What do you want to do first, Sunset? There's so much we can do. Like... win a tandem bicycle? All I have to do is guess how many candies are in the jar.
Anyone else having serious deja vu?
Mm-hmm.
Nope, just deja vu you.
Duh.
Get it? Because it's just you with the deja vu.
I don't know how to explain it, but I
Twilight,
did all
no.
of this yesterday.
Just no.
We were at school yesterday.
Pinkie Pie?
And
where
she's
she's headed.
in the maze. Mm-hmm. Why does this work?
Pinkie, focus. If you keep running off like this, we'll be the concert.
Who wants to be part of an art show?
No, run away.
I do.
No, not again. Oh. This time they're dragging Twilight into it. Okay.
Happened. Couldn't you have warned us about the paint?
Yes, indeed. What is it this time? Is it?
Pinkie Pie just splattered paint and it looks exactly like Rarity with a pirate mustache. How's that?
But
Well, that would prove it for sure.
it changed, didn't it? No, it did. It's the same.
Seriously?
So, what do you think, Twi? Any scientific explanation for this?
It's possible that yesterday a snag in the fabric of space-time could cause a temporal point, i.e. today, to fold in on itself, and thereby repeat. Quite fascinating, really.
It's a very stretchy fry.
Time loop! Classic Sunset.
But why only me? The only time I was alone was on the hill when I wished.
Classic
More
Sunset.
wishes? Solid choice.
This might sound crazy, but I think Equestrian magic has given me another chance to see Post Crush.
Not that crazy.
You say stranger things have happened.
Why didn't you see Post-Crush?
Mistakes were made.
Nah, don't beat yourself up. I
Yes,
thought
mistakes were made.
or so help me, What's that smell?
Churros.
Could it be? Puffed pastries, exclusive star-crusted cinnamon dip churros.
Oh, that's puff pastry from the
Best time to go
the
get
cruise.
It's not. Let's get moving so nothing goes wrong for Post Crush.
one. On the other hand, if I get two, then Sunset can help him with me. No, I will not give in.
Yes, you will.
Okay, this is the worst possible time for churros.
Mm-hmm.
Pinkie, stop!
And goodbye again.
Our bad.
No, her bad. You saw whose bad it was, right, sir?
So how many times are we gonna go through this?
Three big cheers for two best friends who got back together for one.
Maybe you'll get another chance.
I'd say the chances are good of that. And
World Day 1. Come and get it.
and
Thank you.
why are you not avoiding that?
From now on.
So I says to Big Mac, get your own chicken coop.
What do you call a post-crush fan with 3 eyes?
No time for jokes. I'm gonna head out on my own today. Laters.
You okay?
Keep Pinkie Pie busy. Thanks.
Good luck with that.
Weren't you supposed to see post-crush together?
Aww. Oh, this is not... You need to find a way to do this together. Oh.
Win a tandem fight? Sunset!
You cannot escape Pinkie Pie. It's not physically possible.
I'm having fun with my friends. Sunset!
Get away!
Sunset, are you ditching me?
Oh, wow, she actually did get away from Pinkie.
Universe, I promise to make the most of this do-over.
Let me hear 3 big cheers for 2 best friends who got back together for one incredible night. It's
2 best friends who get back together for one incredible night. Mm-hmm. I see where this is going.
Post-crush roll call!
And Pinkie's not there.
Be the true original. Dare to be what you are meant to be. Working hard, that's our thing. All this way, we're perfectly true. True original.
I like the song.
True original. True original. We're perfectly true.
And oh,
Perfect day!
except for one thing.
There she is, Lone Wolf.
Pinkie Pie's been acting mighty strange this evening. Any idea what might have happened to her?
We lost track of each other.
Me? Lose track of Sunset?
Stop
But she
lying.
was right the whole time, right, actual Sunset Shimmer?
Right, Pinkie Pie.
Oh no!
It's flawless. There.
She's starting to go Pinkamena on us. This is not good.
How was the show?
It was perfect.
I was being judgmental, darling. What is the point of throwing shade if no one's there to
Sorry. Too blissed out from the show to care right now. Talk tomorrow?
And it's gonna be the same day. Oh. Sunset. Yep, same day. Uh-huh.
It can't be.
It is.
Stars World Day 1. Come and get it. Oh, sorry. I'll be.
Are you ever gonna miss that? Not until the last loop, which she gets everything right.
My do-over can end now. Cue snips and push Sandalwood out of the way in 3, 2.
You stage direct? Whoa.
Nice.
Oh, could have warned me, you know.
Tried that. You called me a witch.
Are you? Hey, watch it.
Sorry, thought you didn't come up till later. I'll make a note of that for next time. P17 saw a paint guy buy food truck right before he breaks up with his girlfriend.
17?
It's not you, it's her. I'm not a witch.
Oh!
You better run.
Run from my problems.
Wow, 17 times?
Actually haven't tried that yet.
That never helps anything. Really? Okay, where are we going? I was just trying to get out of the loop.
Somehow. Maybe if I leave the campgrounds, it'll finally end.
What are you talking about?
This is all your fault.
Oh, hey now. And you're gonna blow a tire or something. Or the engine's gonna break down. Okay.
Saying the
AJ's
calendar
drink.
industry cooked up a conspiracy to make every day today just the same paper?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
You're right. It's too obvious.
Sorry to hijack the RV while you were all sleeping, but I've tried everything except leaving.
It's possible a snag in the fabric of space-time could cause a temporal point.
You've said this already.
Space fold in on itself and thereby repeat.
You really have done this a lot. Okay, you've made your point. Stop! This time loop started because I missed Post-Crush.
This is
So
amazing.
Why didn't it end when I saw them?
Because that's not the
Sure it's only
point.
about post-crush?
I probably ask you this every day. But what did Princess Twilight say when you told her about this?
The journal, of course.
Oh, I haven't
I
tried that.
weeks ago.
Weeks? Oh yeah, 70 days is...
Seriously though, why didn't you? You're asking yourself, Self, how'd I spend 17 days with my best friend Pinkie Pie without asking for help until now?
Still think this is only about post-crush?
Oh, she didn't reach out to Twilight because she knows...
Tow truck
that-
says he'll need cash tomorrow.
She knows that she's in wrong here.
Tell him
And
I'll
she
be
knows that
home.
Twilight would,
Lots
Princess
of
Twilight would
ice.
tell her that. Aww, they're there. Rip phone.
Stars World Day 1. Come and
Swing and a...
Oops. Sorry. I'll be more careful from now on.
No, Rainbow Dash, you won't. Every day you say that, but you never are. Why won't you change?
Hesty.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you call a post-crush man with 3 eyes? Pinkie Pie! So, you think Princess Twilight can help you with this temporal loop thingy?
I sure hope so.
Not gonna work, is it? Oh.
Sunset, I've been doing some research, and it looks like you found another long-lost equestrian artifact.
Lucky me.
The Time Twirler. I don't know how it found its way into your world,
Oh.
but when activated, it has the power to loop time. What you're experiencing isn't simply magic run amok, or a wish gone awry. Some pony is using the Time Twirler to cause this.
If we find whoever used the time twirler to start the loop, we'll be able
So
to end it for
cool.
good. Tell the others we've got a new mission.
That was just a little preview of the red tech. Whoever has the time twirler is the only person besides you who isn't in the same
I don't know who this
thing
is.
every day. Have you noticed anyone who doesn't belong? Anyone out of place? Anyone evil?
I don't think so.
Wait.
How could I? Every day is the same.
Is it Pinky?
It goes round and round.
What
Wait,
was
what
that?
was that?
Round and round and round and round.
Wait.
Round and round
Hey,
and...
what are you listening to?
So ordinary, stuck on repeat.
I think we've got a clue.
Passion, passion.
Oh, is it... It's Pop Crush?
Minute addition!
Who?
But they lost their voices. They gotta be using magic.
That or vocal processing.
They wouldn't. Wait, what am I talking about? Of course they would.
The Dazzlings! The Dazzlings!
Let's find
Yes! 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 I did not see that coming.
That song's called Find the Magic.
Seriously?
It's kind of samey.
And the Dazzlings are behind the time loop.
Still no excuse for lazy songwriting.
Oh! We're already throwing a lot of shade in this special.
New mission. We have to get backstage.
Our backstage passes are only good for day 2, and you're not a VIP.
Oh.
The important P to me.
Aw.
The key is getting past him.
We just want
Good luck with that. Oh! Why are you fans?
The weak shall crumble before me. I got this.
Wait! If you want to help, let me come up with a plan. No distractions, no detours, no walking off while I'm talking to you.
Last summer, weren't you working at
cat food convention.
Convention.
Cat food convention?
You're the guy who...
Yeah. I got fired!
Because...
Ooh.
Now, what happened again?
I tried taking a kitten home with me, all right? But that's
Oh.
against the rules!
Aw.
Ugh, if she blows this thing, I'll have to start all over tomorrow.
Was it an orange cat?
Tuxedo! Ask me her name! Say what happened!
What was her...
Aw. Oops.
Oh, I guess I don't got this.
Hmm? Wait. What?
You don't, but together we do. For a time looper, today's failure is tomorrow's success.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna do this right today. And you're still not missing that. You'd think that'd be the first thing she would fix. Wow, fast forward. So, man, where is this going?
We just want an autograph.
Oh, they found his kryptonite. Oh, that's adorable.
Say hello to Hattie the kitty cat.
Oh, I want the kitty.
Where's the kitty?
If you spend all your time keeping people out, how are you ever gonna let anybody in?
Oh, oh.
Gosh. Go ahead and go backstage, the both of you.
Really? Wow, thanks. Great idea, Sunset.
We came up with it together.
I was gonna say they're helping in a roundabout way.
That was
Helping
our
each other.
best show yet.
The loop is really working. Of course it's working.
It was my idea. I knew it. I bet they're hiding the time twirlers somewhere in their tour bus.
Nice thinking. Also, looks more like a tour band to me.
Oh. How did Sunset get caught in the loop though? Because she was in range when they activated it?
Stay here and stand guard. If you see anyone coming, sound the alarm.
You got it. No one's gonna get by me. No way, no how. Nope. Nah.
Wait, did one of you remember to take the bread out of the toaster?
It's not my job to not start fires.
How was I supposed to know you can't put tacos in the toaster?
Oh, you two are so...
Keep it.
Oh, Sonata, how I've missed you. Pinky,
These exclusive Star
now
Wars
is the absolute worst time for churros.
Probably not the best time to go get one.
No, no,
On
it's
the
not.
other hand, if I get two, then Sunset can have one with me.
No,
I will not give it.
Pinky. Hold it together. Come on. You got this. You don't got this.
Not here. Oh, where is it?
And
Who keeps toasting a toaster, honestly?
Don't even
They
think
do.
about eating our toast, Sunset Shimmer.
oh no.
I was wrong. This is the worst possible time for churros.
What are you doing on our bus?
It's more of a van.
Sorry, Adagio, but it's time to take this track off repeat. I heard you admit the time loop was your idea.
Time loop? What? We looped a vocal track. Hey!
You're telling the truth.
Oh.
But your song, Every Day is the Same.
That's about being stuck in this miserable human world with no magic or hope of returning to Equestria.
And by the way, if there's equestrian magic afoot around here, we call dibs.
I thought if anyone would want to be able to redo the day and fix their mistakes, it's you three.
We made the mistake of using our powers to manipulate Canterlot High School, and we've paid the price for it. With our magic.
Unless you count the magic of vocal processing.
Which I don't. What I'm saying is, we
Cheaters!
already get a do-over with every new day. It's called living life.
You should try it sometime.
I can't.
Poor Sunset Shimmer. Are you mad?
I don't get a new day, okay? I get this day forever. Nothing changes. I can't tell you how sick I am of Pinkie Pie ruining everything by running on to
And
get
she's
churros.
right
I hate
behind you.
churros.
I just wanted to say the Dazzlings are back, but I see you've seen them, and you've seen me too, so, see ya.
No, Pinkie! I didn't mean it!
If the day's always the same, maybe you're the one who needs to change.
Oh, that's a twist.
Pinkie Pie,
Dazzlings being the ones that are right about this.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Did you convince the Dazzlings to break the time loop?
No, it wasn't them.
Oh, well, I'm gonna find a nice line to wait in so I don't ruin it for you again. You deserve to have a good day, Sunset!
So do you, Pinkie Pie.
I want to say it's Pinkie, but I don't think it is either. It's who? I'm gonna go with it's them, the pop crush.
Stars World, day one.
And are you gonna miss this fun? Thank you.
Today.
Get your own chicken coop.
What do you call a post-crush fan with 3 eyes?
Pinkie
You
Pie.
call her Pinkie Pie because you spell your name with 3 eyes.
Called that a long time ago.
Puns.
Yes.
In your face, mud. Never better.
Wow. Shortest line.
This day's already amazing!
I know. Pick whichever one you want. They're all slow, but security is an art. It can't be rushed.
Okay. Getting on the guard's good side right out to the... Okay.
Oh! Win a tandem bicycle!
You two have fun now.
All I have to do is guess how many candies are in the jar.
And
my
she already
goal
knows.
is to say 305!
Sunset knows.
572 and a half, counting the green jelly bean you ate part of in the parking lot.
What? That... wow! That's oddly specific. I knew that bike was gonna get ridden sooner or later. And you're even getting hit by the paint. Alright. And Rarity again. I expect there to be fan art of that at some point.
And now for the grand finale. Post! What's that smell?
Churros.
You'll see. Follow me.
Swirl cinnamon swirl churros.
I really want one of those.
Marginally fresher than a little bit.
How did you know?
2, please.
Aww.
You know, when I did things alone my way, I realized having a perfect day wasn't perfect without you.
Aww.
Aww. How hard?
This
What?
is a rock. This is like eating a crowbar.
I know.
Your lousy golf cart broke down to me for the last time. Find someone else to deliver churros backstage to Post Rush because I quit.
See what happens when you embrace
Is it Puff Pastry doing this?
This couldn't happen with all the mission planning in the world.
Or is it
Well,
Puff?
you must have met them on one of the other days. Tell me what happened.
No, it's Post Crush doing it.
First time, and I'm glad it's with the other half of my dynamic duo.
Aww.
Special delivery.
We are huge, ginormous fans. Hey, the usual delivery every guy looks like two girls today.
They shouldn't have known that.
A different day.
Today can be a funny thing.
Word. Thanks for being fans, but we gotta, get on stage.
Of course! We don't want to keep you. Come on, Sunset.
But before you go on, at least give me the honor of shaking your hand as a thank you for all your music and anything else you might have done to me.
She knows.
For a fan.
We've only got one shot at this. Ugh, as if I'm not super duper aware, Kalo. Ooh.
Yeah. Be the true original. Dare to be what you are meant to be. Working hard.
Oh, they keep looping it because things keep going wrong on their final tour. Oh, wardrobe malfunction.
Your voice so flat. Ugh, I can't. Whatever. We can just do it all over again.
Looks like there was a reason they split up in the first place.
You found the time twirler. You're the ones causing the time loop.
Pause. How did you see my brain?
We're gonna loop our show till it's perfect. A fangirl like you wouldn't get it.
Oh!
Unless you're such a fangirl, you do get it.
You know fans can never get it.
But
Oh.
I do. I wanted things to go perfectly too, but now I know they never do.
Then we stop never.
And now that we know you're in on our little secret, you'll never set foot inside this festival again.
Go ahead, take our pictures and hang them up. Tomorrow morning they'll all disappear.
Ever heard of drawings?
Everything resets.
You don't, and neither do we. Now that I've seen your faces, I'm an art school dropout, and you better believe I can draw your faces so good, guards will ban you at the gate from
Oh
now until
no.
forever and
Well, she did say a dropout, so.
Security! We gotta coach our troops. Crazy fan alert!
Uh-oh.
How are you gonna let anyone in if you keep kicking people out?
Aww.
Tonight is my last chance to stop this before I get banned for life. Think fast, Sunset. Come on, think. Okay. If we climb up this tree, attach a rope there, and swing over and... Who am I kidding? I'm done for.
Get your friends to help.
We'll be together.
You know what? That actually makes being trapped at an eternal...
Are the Dazzlings gonna help?
Not bad.
What's that smell? Could it be? Puff Pastry's exclusive star-crusted cinnamon dip churros!
Oh yeah, it was a little too inedible for my taste.
And why are they so hard anyway?
Like eating
a crowbar! Churros is magic.
What? Churros is magic? I see what you did there. Oh!
I remember you.
You do?
Yeah. You respected my security line earlier today, so many of these kids just don't get it.
We get it!
So I thought, hey Self, these gals aren't crazy fans, they're just fans. And they didn't do anything illegal.
Weren't about to either!
They're just big fans of Post Crush. And since security is all about karma, I thought it's only
It
right
is?
we should be able to see the show.
Aw.
Mister, you are the best security guard ever.
Gosh. Go ahead.
Oh, you big softy.
Time twirler from Kalo's hair and twirl it off or make it not work anymore. Wait,
What's wrong?
it's just that
Hey, was that Wallflower back there?
Post Crush. But if we break the
Thank
time
you,
loop
friends.
right now, you won't. We're ruining Post Crush's only reunion show.
Are you kidding? They trapped my best friend at a super fun music festival without me for weeks. They are so going down.
Well then.
I'm getting tired of living the same day over and over. Can this please be our last performance?
We've been over this, Susie. We don't stop until we get it perfect.
Sorry to interrupt, but...
You have something that doesn't belong to you.
Who let you two back in?
Give us the time twirler now.
You wouldn't dare. If you were real fans, you'd want this show to be perfect.
Nothing's perfect.
Nope.
Pinkie Pie.
Yep. You just gotta make the best with what you got.
I see this lesson. That churro is completely inedible. Uh-oh.
Give it back.
And how? Okay.
Let me hear 3 big cheers for the 2 best friends who got back together.
And they're gonna end up in the concert. Yes, I call that. Special effects, okay.
Our legacy is destroyed.
Nope.
Everything was riding on this show, and you ruined it.
Are you sure about that? Your fans don't want perfection. They just want to see you rocking out and having fun. Sometimes the flaws and silly mistakes are what makes the experience perfect. That's the best part about seeing live music. It's the best part of being friends.
Fantastic lesson.
We did used to have a lot of fun.
Guess we got so wrapped up in the pressure to be perfect.
We forgot.
So what do you say?
I don't know. This one's for real.
Let's do it then. For real. It'll be you and me, just like old times. Whatever happens, happens.
Always first place, never second best. Only high stakes, we aim to impress. And there's no room for mistakes. Yeah, we're flawless every day, 'cause we're all about perfection. Projecting that pure reflection, exceeding your expectations. Yeah. Be the true.
And Sons of a Big Yes. Yes! Yes! Zephyr Breeze, what's he doing?
It's not about perfection. Set off in your own direction. Shake off the expectations. You're the true original. Dare to be who you are meant to be. Free yourself, do your thing, all your way. You're perfect and perfectly you. True original. True original. True original. You're perfect and perfectly you.
I think we just played Star Swirl.
Get over here and take a
That
photo
line.
with us.
Aww.
Now this is a perfect moment.
And it's a different day.
Star Swirl Day 2!
What do you want to do today, Sunset?
whatever the day brings us.
And it'll be
Today
perfect.
was the longest 3 weeks of my life.
Yeah. You guys, once again, Katrina, Ishii, Nick, everyone who worked on this, just, you guys are so awesome. Oh, this is such a perfect way. Like, I watched this because I didn't want to worry about spoilers. I kind of wish I'd waited to watch this at the end after all the shorts. But, oh man, this is such a perfect way to end this. I feel like, I mean, it's not really an ending, but it's such a good lesson. I've got so many things I want to say about this, but I'm going to be rambling, so just stay tuned. I will be back once I've organized my thoughts. Stay tuned. Okay. Just right off the bat, I gotta say, in my opinion, this is one of the best Equestria Girls specials ever. Good story, fun references, realistic and relatable friendship problems, great moral lessons, and all manner of crazy plot twists and turns and whatnot, including the return of the infamous Dazzlings, which I didn't really think would happen. Now, it's not the best special. Forgotten Friendship, it will probably never be unseated from that place of honor in my book, but still, this one, I gotta say, is definitely top 3 for me. Now, to start with, I have to say, just to make this clear, I am a huge fan of time loop episodes. Not all of them are created equal. Of course, some are better than others, but I've seen a number of them in different TV shows and stuff, and it's just a lot of fun to explore the various, things that they have to do to break out and things they do along the way. One of my favorite time loop stories ever is the episode, it's a Stargate SG-1 episode called Window of Opportunity. And it's a lot of fun because 2 of the best characters in the whole series end up getting to do some fun, silly things that they normally wouldn't do in real life, but once they realized they could get away with doing it without having any consequences because it's just going to reset, they got to kind of cut loose for a little bit there. Now, obviously, and unlike Sunset, they were stuck in their loop for months, so it made sense that they needed to have some breaks in there once in a while to do some fun things. Obviously, this story didn't go down that route, as Sunset was more focused on just trying to make the day work properly and get out of the loop, so it was a little bit more serious in nature, but there were still some fun bits of comic relief along the way, kept things interesting and entertaining and whatnot, so it's a good mix. It was a fun story. And I should mention that I honestly wondered for quite a good portion of this if it was actually Pinky somehow triggering the time loop, because she knew that she'd messed up the day for Sunset, and she was the one to originally suggest that she would do it differently if she had another chance. And, honestly, it seemed like every time we saw her go after those churros at the end, she struggled more and more, like going back and forth, should I, shouldn't I? And, that increasing amount of internal conflict that she was dealing with made me wonder if she herself was somehow just faking it and going along with the flow and trying to figure out how to fix this problem rather than, cluing Sunset in on what was going on. But no, it turns out that she wasn't faking at all. She was just as clueless as the rest of them, and et cetera, et cetera. So, and I also sort of suspected post-crush early on, but then, I thought, oh, that's too obvious, and then they were kept out of the spotlight for so long in the story, I began to think that they weren't actually going to be even that relevant to the story at all. So, and then, the Dazzlings threw me for another loop in there too. So, honestly, kudos to the writers for all the clever little plot twists in the story that kept me guessing. So, now, time loop aside for the moment, let's take a look at the actual friendship issue here. The first time through, in my opinion, Pinkie Pie was fully at fault in this. To be fair, she never intended to mess up the day for Sunset, not one little bit. I mean, she always had the best of intentions. Even going after the churros, she thought she was doing Sunset a favor. But, lack of malicious intent does not excuse one's irresponsible actions. Now, Pinky's positive energy can be quite infectious at times, as we all know. It's easy to see why she puts smiles on everyone's faces and whatnot, but her impulsive nature clearly has a downside at times. She and Sunset set out together on a singular mission to get to the front row of Post-Crush's concert for one of the best nights they'd ever had together. At first, Pinky did what she does best. They got on this really long and slow security line, and she kept Sunset positive and upbeat while they were, waiting and all that. Classic Pinky, everything was fine. But then once they got inside, and Sunset laid out their plan, their strategy on the map, what happens? Pinky immediately deviates by trying to go win that tandem bicycle. Now that by itself wasn't that big of a deal. But then after Sunset reminded her about their plan, and Pinky said that she would focus, a split second later, she got distracted by the garden maze, where she goofed off for quite a good chunk of time, forcing Sunset to literally use candy to lure her out of there. That was, quite honestly, a pretty childish and selfish thing to do on Pinky's part. Then she insisted on being part of that impromptu art show, which again caused the delay. And after that, Sunset again set expectations with Pinky by saying no more distractions. And Pinky once again agreed. And then she allowed herself to be distracted again, this time by the churros. Now, she didn't necessarily say I promise every time. There was at least one time in there where in loops where she said I promise. But all those agreements in my mind constitute promises. Pinky is not one who's known to take breaking a promise lightly, especially promises between close friends. So it's rather disappointing to see her kind of break her own rules like this. I'm honestly not sure why she went to such extremes in this case, why she got quite so out of control. Now, one thing that crossed my mind is maybe, despite the fact that Pinky was really into Post-Crush, maybe seeing their concert actually meant a lot more to Sunset than it did to Pinky, and Pinky was just more interested in taking in all the sights, sounds, and tastes of the festival. She didn't want to sacrifice all of that just because of the concert. But again, they had both agreed to see the concert together, to, get to the front row and everything. So, and while Sunset was trying her best to rein in Pinky and get them both there on time, Pinky just seemed to be focused on literally anything and everything except that. And yes, Pinky knew full well what she was doing along the way, as evidenced by the fact that she briefly did try to stop herself from going after the churros, where she knew she shouldn't, but then ultimately gave in to the temptation, thinking that somehow it'd benefit the both of them. So, again, maybe she just didn't care about the concert quite as much as Sunset did, but if that was the case, then she really should have excused herself to go do all those other things and promised to meet back up with Sunset later. That probably would have worked out pretty well. Sunset could have just gone and saved the spot for Pinky to show up later. Of course, that maybe would have been a bummer for Sunset because she had wanted to spend the day together with Pinky, but ultimately that may have had a better result than getting kicked out of the festival. Of course, for all we know, that is actually what she tried in one of the loops that we didn't see and still failed for some reason. Hard to say. But, and I will say too, just for the sake of argument, that this is a different version of Pinkie Pie than the one in Equestria. Most likely a younger and more immature version. So that may explain some of this. But I honestly believe that regardless, she's still Pinky, and she's capable of being responsible enough to not let this aspect of her personality cause her to treat her friend like this. Now, I think this is just one of those cases where, despite her normal nature, she got careless and failed to consider the potential consequences that her actions could have on her friend. As for Sunset, after rewatching the first round of this several times, I honestly could not really find any fault on Sunset's part. Like I said, she did everything that she could to get Pinky to focus on their goal, and I mean, all within reason. She is very, she wasn't rude or anything. She was tactful about all of it, but still ultimately failed. It did hurt to see her get snippy with Pinky at the end of the day after they got kicked out, and saying that if she could do it again, she'd rather do it alone. But honestly, it's pretty hard to fault her for feeling that way. I mean, pretty much anybody would have felt a similar way, I think, given the same situation. Not only did she fail to see the concert that she dreamt of seeing and wanted to see so badly, but one of her own best friends was the one that is actually responsible for causing all the havoc that, caused her to miss that. So, that kind of an incident, I think, would most likely put a pretty significant strain on any friendship. Now, on the first repeat, not a whole lot changed because Sunset was just kind of in bewilderment trying to figure out what was going on. And, once again, she tried to keep Pinky on task, this time with some help from Twilight, and they still failed to make things work properly. But on the next loop, Sunset flat out left Pinky behind and made it to the concert successfully, but as expected, she is at least a little bit bummed that Pinky wasn't there with her. Of course, that quickly disappeared once she, really got into the concert and stuff. But this is where I think Sunset made her first big mistake. Again, I can't fault her for feeling the way that she was, but feeling a certain way and acting out on it are two different things. She should have known better than to avoid Pinky all day, because that was incredibly selfish of her. And furthermore, she lied to Pinky about her actions, most notably after the concert when she said, "Oh, well, I guess we lost track of each other." That was a bold-faced lie if I ever heard one, and it was pretty obvious the rest of the gang wasn't really buying it at all. And they could tell exactly what Sunset had done. They just weren't really sure why she had done it. Now, what Sunset probably should have done was try harder to use her knowledge of the previous loops to find a way to work things out with Pinky, which, of course, she ultimately did do through all the loops, but not before, lying and acting selfishly on her own. She may have been feeling great about finally seeing that concert on that second repeat, but I gotta say, if making it to the concert had actually resulted in time moving forward normally again, I think this is a good case of short-term gain, long-term loss, because she would have felt pretty terrible later on after seeing how her actions would have damaged her relationship with Pinky and all that. Of course, the much bigger problem here was that she was way too focused on the concert to even realize that just making her own day work out the way that she wanted wasn't the solution to the loop, or even that the loop wasn't about her in the first place. She, of all people, after all the magic-related problems that they have dealt with in this world up to this point, should have immediately suspected that there was equestrian magic at play here, and she should have completely dropped, the concert and post-crush and all the stuff of the festival, and include her gang in on what was going on, and ask them for help trying to figure out what the source of this problem was and fix it. Instead, somehow she got hung up on the idea that the whole point of the time loop was somehow for her to make the day work the way it was supposed to for both her and Pinky, and she ended up being stuck in this loop literally for weeks without, for whatever reason, realizing that she needed to take a different approach to this. And of course, when Twilight and Pinky finally confronted her about why she'd gone that long without actually trying to contact Princess Twilight for help, Sunset looked pretty embarrassed. It was pretty clear at that point that she realized that if she hadn't been so hung up on her own selfish desires, that she would have been thinking more logically about the whole situation and would have reached out to Princess Twilight for help a whole lot sooner. Fortunately, with Sunset's head finally in the right place on that, they contacted Princess Twilight, got information that was helpful, and proceeded to look for the magic. Okay, great. Now enter the Dazzlings! Nice little plot twist there. Like I said, I really did not think we were ever going to get to see them again. Of course, I do kind of wish that we'd actually gotten to see them as the primary focus of another one of these specials or something. Maybe have a little Reformation episode for them or something, but still, just getting to see what they've been up to since the events of Rainbow Rocks was fun to see. And as one would expect, they're basically just, there's not a whole lot they can do at this point. They're doing the best they can, is trying to make a living off their music by way of a pretty large amount of vocal processing, since they don't have their magic gems to help them sing anymore. I don't know if there's anything else that they've tried along the way. Obviously, singing is what they know best, even though they can't sing well on their own, but give them points for trying. And I said it's interesting that while they aren't happy with where they're at by any means, they've at least come to terms with the situation that they're now in and seem to be making do the best that they can. I wouldn't call them reformed, They still seem to be their same bitter, ornery selves, but they don't appear to be up to any evil shenanigans or anything like that. They're just basically doing what they can to make it from day to day and, make an honest living for once. So kudos for that. And the really interesting twist here is that Adagio actually managed to give Sunset an interesting little bit of wisdom here. She said that, if the day is always the same for Sunset, then maybe it's Sunset herself that needs to change. That little gem of wisdom, or little revelation, helped Sunset to realize that she was still holding Pinky at fault for all the times that she had messed up this day for Sunset. And she'd never really tried to compromise it all by embracing Pinky's chaotic nature. Instead, she had just been constantly fighting against Pinky, trying to find ways to keep her from getting distracted and messing things up, rather than embracing the distractions herself. This is interesting because it reveals sort of a secondary fault on Sunset's part that emerged from the effects of the time loop. I still argue that Pinky was primarily at fault for the original ruined day because she was the first one to break promises to her friend, and assuming the loop had never actually happened, I still don't really feel like Sunset technically had done anything wrong at that point to, cause any of the problems. Sure, you could argue that it would have been a good idea for her to ask Pinky if she wanted to do anything at the festival besides seeing the concert, and then tried to find a strategy for the day that would make, that would compromise and make things work out for both of them. But you could just as easily argue that Sunset honestly thought that Pinky was just as excited about seeing Post Crush as she was, and since Pinky kept agreeing with Sunset's plans, there really wasn't any reason for Sunset to think that there was a problem. So the first time really does just, to me anyway, it seems to boil down to Pinky acting irresponsibly. That said, in all the times that Sunset spent across all the time loops, she really should have been willing at some point to recognize that Pinky deserved to have a fun day too, and instead of constantly fighting against her, she should have just taken a break from trying to solve the problem and just have some fun with Pinky for a day. Of course, she did eventually do this after the confrontation with the Dazzlings, but this is already after spending literally weeks in this loop, all while building up a huge amount of resentment for Pinky due to how she kept messing up things with those blasted churros, causing her to snap pretty badly at Pinky. Now, obviously, this isn't a situation you'd ever actually find yourself in real life, so it's kind of hard to empathize with a little bit, but looking at it objectively, or as objectively as I can, Pinky didn't deserve the amount of resentment that Sunset had for her in any one of these given loops, because without any memory of the other loops herself, it's unfair to hold her responsible for the cumulative effect that all of her failures have had on Sunset. Sunset's big mistake here really was allowing her own selfishness to blind her. If she hadn't been so stuck on this goal of hers, she would have been more aware of how she was treating Pinky, and also more focused on finding the real source of the problem much more quickly. And let's face it, Pinky is full of chaotic energy. She is chaos. And sometimes you can have a lot more fun with her if you just go with the flow and embrace the randomness. I can personally vouch for this. I found that, like when you go on vacations and stuff, it's almost always a lot more fun if you allow plenty of time for just random activities. Just doing whatever pops up and you feel like doing. As opposed to just rushing around with a very strict schedule of events that without hardly any time to breathe in between. If you do that, you tend to go home feeling even more exhausted than when you left and didn't really end up having as much fun as you thought you might have. So, interestingly enough, once Sunset finally did spend a day of just having fun with Pinky, this change up in their activities actually allowed them to find the clues they needed to get to the bottom of who was responsible for the time loop, namely Post Crush themselves. And, I should also mention a little side thing here. Had it not been for Pinky messing things up before the time loop started, Sunset never would have run away from the campsite to be alone and cry for a little while, and thus she probably would not have been in the area of effect for the time loop spell, meaning she would have been just as oblivious to it as the rest of the gang, and thus the time loops would have kept going for as long as Post-Crush wanted them to, most likely a whole lot longer than just a few weeks, by the looks of it. Again, I'm not saying that this absolves Pinky of any responsibility for her actions, but it just goes to show that quite often there are positive side effects that result from unplanned and undesirable events. So we should always be on the lookout for what the positive takeaways are when things don't quite work out the way we expect. Life is full of disappointments, and if we constantly focus on those negative things, we may very well miss out on some very positive things that wouldn't have otherwise happened. Now, regarding Post-Crush, this is an interesting situation, as those two were having very much the same kind of friendship problem as Sunset and Pinky were. They also wanted to experience the perfect day by doing one last concert together where absolutely everything went perfect. So they kept trying to do it over and over, but in every one of their attempts, something kept going wrong with their concert, and they simply couldn't stand the thought of ending their career on anything less than a 100% perfect performance. Now, I don't really fault them for wanting to have a perfect performance. I mean, everybody strives, or should strive for perfection. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But you need to understand that nothing is ever 100% perfect. That just doesn't exist. So they along with Sunset failed to realize that, life rarely goes according to plan that way. And their friendships with each other are far more important than all these little issues and mistakes that were being made along the way. Now, granted, Pinky's mistakes with the churros weren't exactly so little, but regardless of how badly she messed up, Sunset still should have realized that her friendship with Pinky is worth far more than any concert. And you know what? Sometimes it's more fun and memorable to have something go wrong anyway. Sure, mishaps can make for bad memories, but oftentimes things seem bad in the moment, but later on you can look back on those mishaps and laugh at them, as you realize just how insignificant and silly they were in the grand scheme of things. Coming back to Post-Crush, if their final concert had gone, by their own definition, perfectly, all anyone would have to say about it was that it was perfect, which seems great, but later on down the road, it's like it makes for a kind of a dull story to tell anyone. Imagine being able to tell somebody who wasn't there this crazy story about how Post-Crush's final concert was plagued by all manner of instrument and wardrobe malfunctions and technical problems and whatnot, yet they pushed through it and still gave all their fans one of their greatest concerts ever. That is a fun story to tell somebody later on, And furthermore, this duo was described as two best friends, which I think is something the fans really loved about them because their friendship was most likely reflected well in their music. As the time loops wore on, their friendship was being strained, and their growing frustration with each other was likely actually causing more and more of the problems that they were experiencing, meaning they were just making the problem worse, not better. Again, with the loop resetting, everything was exactly the same every time around, but they kept having different problems during the concert. So the only way that could happen is that they themselves were responsible for those mistakes somehow. Now, even assuming they finally got to a point where everything went perfectly from their perspective, like from a technical perspective, I think the resulting performance would have actually felt a lot more cold and impersonal because they weren't really meshing well as friends at that point. Meaning the fans may have left disappointed after all, which in turn would mean that their idea of a perfect performance wasn't so perfect after all. Frankly, there wasn't even really any point in doing their concert if they weren't having fun while doing it. That's so much more important than any, type of technical perfection. And, they admitted as much, saying that having fun together was really what used to make their performances so special. Not making sure that every last note and step and vocal pitch and everything was absolutely, technically perfect. And hey, as I mentioned before, sometimes bad things that can happen, or that happen, can result in some really good things. In this case, not only are the friendships of Post-Crush and Pinky and Sunset stronger than before, but they also made new friends with each other as well in the process. None of that would have ever happened if Pinky had not messed up that first time around. So, again, more often than not, there's several silver linings in the undesirable events of life. You just got to look for it. So yeah, there's actually a lot of moral lessons in this special that were touched on. Just kind of summarize. Don't break promises you made with your friends. Don't lie to your friends. Don't be so selfish that you deny your friends' happiness. Don't focus so strongly on the negative stuff that you miss the positive stuff. Mistakes are part of life and often help make the most perfect moments. They make it more perfect because there's mistakes, oddly enough. And here's an interesting one too, thanks to, believe it or not, the Dazzlings. Every day is a do-over, a new opportunity to go out and do things better than you did the previous day. So keep moving forward and make the most of it. Don't keep looking back. I think it's safe to say there's plenty of good takeaways for us in this last full EG special. And yeah, I know there's still the holiday special, if you can call it that, but I'm told that's more of a series of shorter stories and stuff. So this is basically the last full-length story that we'll ever get in the EG world, unless Hasbro decides to start producing more through their own animation studio, Boulder Media. But as far as DHX is concerned, production has ended now. So, and while this really wasn't an ending to the series, the Equestria Girls series in any way, unlike FIM, it was, at least in my opinion, a pretty good final note to end on as far as the specials go. Again, the most important thing about all this stuff is the lessons that we get out of it, and this was a good one. And I can only hope that all of you that are watching enjoyed it as much as I did, and hopefully that you're able to take some of these lessons and apply them in your own life to help improve your own friendships. So that's all I got on this one. Thanks everyone for watching, and hope to see you again soon for some more content. Later.